Guess what today is, guys? Another 3D printer! Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Dustin. You all know who I am. I should mute my phone. As I was saying, my name's Dustin. You guys know who I am. And today, it's another unboxing video of another 3D printer. I'm up to 6 now. I don't have any more room for this. I don't have enough room for what I have, let alone this as well. This is, as you can probably guess, the Folger FT-5 R2. If you're unaware, the Folger R1, which has been out for over a year now, has been revised to R2. There's a bunch of changes that have been done, and I'll talk about that as I go through this box. I will, talk about it in more detail in a different video once I get this whole thing assembled, but for right now, this is just going to be an unboxing video so you have an idea of what's going to be coming in the package if you get an R2. Let's unbox this thing. So, for those of you who have watched my videos before and know my unboxing, I've seen my unboxing videos, you'll know I usually use my cool automatic knife. I can't find it, so next best thing, we'll just use this. I already cut it open, so there's no point for me to even use this, but I thought I'd let you guys know. So, let's get this thing open. Actually, I did find a use for this. There, makes it easier. Alright, so I already opened this up, so there was a piece of cardboard on top. It's really cool, the packaging they use now, there's no like packing peanuts or anything. They try to use as much recycled cardboard as they can. They actually have a cardboard crusher thing at the office, and it's actually really cool. So they just get like cardboard boxes from either stuff that they have or from the couple local places around them, and they'll recycle. So recycling is good. So in here, right on top, is a checksum, a receipt of basically everything that's in here. They do it by weight and a couple other things I don't remember exactly, but basically this is just showing you that, assuming everything went well, everything should be in here. It's done by weight and by quantity and all that kind of stuff. So everything should be in here if it's correct. So the first thing that you'll notice is, well, obviously it's the black bed, similar to what the other printer is using. But if you read this right on here, see that? FT-5 R2 24 volt. Yes, if you didn't know already, the FT-5 R2 is 24 volts, not 12 volts. You're going to get better heat times. You're going to have better, heating stability, basically. And I'll go over a couple other things as we get to them. But 24 volt, it's going to be a lot better, a lot less amperage for the same amount of wattage, which is nice. If you guys have seen like the power supplies that were burning out or the power connectors on the boards that were burning out, basically it was just overcurrent was causing that, whether it was something was out of spec, something was faulty, bad wiring, whatever. Overcurrent is what kills things like that. So with it being 24, you're basically halving the current, halving the current. You're cutting the current in half and remaining the same wattage, or in some cases the things are a little bit higher wattage. This bed is a little bit more powerful wattage wise than the other one was, but the current is going to be a lot lower than what it was, so things shouldn't burn out, which is always a good thing. So the next big change that came from the FT-5 or R1 to R2 is the introduction of ACM. So the R1, all of the panels and some of the structural pieces are melamine. So that's, just compressed wood and all that. And remember how dirty it was? It's all laser cut. So it's very accurate. It is strong, regardless of what people say. It is a strong material, but it's wood, it's melamine, it's not great. So with this version, they have invested in big CNC mills and are using this material, which is ACM, which is aluminum composite material or something like that. Basically, it is a sandwich of aluminum on both sides and a composite plastic material inside. I got to play with this stuff when I was up at Folger in the headquarters, and it was very, very, very strong. This stuff is ridiculous. Obviously, it's not as strong as pure aluminum, but, of course it's not going to be, it's not. But it's considerably cheaper than aluminum, and it weighs a lot less than aluminum, and it is plenty strong for this application. It's a lot stronger than melamine. and it looks freaking awesome. It's got this, you know, plastic cover on it, you know, when they go to mill it out, but once I take that off, it looks really pretty. There's also some other colors and stuff they're thinking about doing. Facebook, for those of you who are complaining about the melamine and you don't like melamine and all that, this is your response. Like I said, this stuff is awesome. And from what I've heard, a lot of people who already have this machine really freaking like it. So, and it's really not that heavy. This is not all of the stuff. This is a lot of the bigger pieces, but it's really not that heavy. So as we get into here, of course, these are going to be the bags of stuff. So the bags of electronics. This has the MKS board, the stepper drivers, end stops, stuff like that. The 2004 LCD, as we all know and love. No Folger Tech order would be complete without some form of candy. In this case, Jelly Bellies. Thanks guys, I appreciate it. The bag of wires. These are going to be small parts. There's braided wire cable, you know, motor wires. Compared to when I built my first FT-5, of course, when I built the FT-5 R1, it was before there was a build guide, really, so I kind of did all the wiring myself. That's kind of what made logical sense. Since then, there's been a few iterations of the wiring, and in this version, they have kind of like a wiring loom that's pre-sized and everything. You just have to either put on connectors or solder some wires together, stuff like that. But a lot of the work is already done for you, which is really nice. I should also mention, on the bed, the wires are already soldered to the bed. A lot of people, when they went to this new aluminum bed, were having trouble soldering the wires. I know a couple ways to get around that, but for the sake of users, they now pre-wire the beds with the wires, which is pretty convenient. A bag of miscellaneous stuff, so you got like that freaking awesome screwdriver that I always lose, capped on tape, the USB cables, some cable chain, and one thing that is now included in the kit, calipers. So you have a little set of course they're analog, so they're not super accurate, but some calipers, analog calipers. That's pretty nice, isn't it? That's awesome. This is belts and pulleys, obviously for the belt and pulleys. The one of the big changes to the R2 from the R1 is the Z-axis is now single motor with a belt versus the original version, which was two separate Z-axis motors, which weren't linked together in any way other than electrically. The problem with that is if you were to unpower the motor and something moves a little bit, they're not powered or they're not wired together, so something could fall out of sync. I made a video about the dual Z end stop mod, which basically compensates for that. If something falls out of line, it'll automatically level itself. With this, shouldn't be an issue because the Z's are both linked together. It only uses one motor. Nothing should fall out of sync, which is really cool. So that's what part of that is anyway. Another thing with the pulleys is the Y and X, I believe, have a different pulley design now, so they're a lot less likely to bind and, you know, not work correctly. So that's pretty cool too. So this is a bag of the ACM corners. Of course, you know, the melamine corners people either liked or they didn't like. This is now ACM, so super strong. This is a box of other small ACM parts. As you can tell by the name, small ACM parts. Just another collection of parts, probably the extruder parts, things like that, all in one bag. The extruder assembly itself, all right in here. You have all the cooling fans, you have the actual assembly, things like that. It seems that sometimes when we get this, it comes pre-assembled, sometimes it's not. I've done it enough to where it doesn't matter what it is, I can put it together. But it is like that. My favorite bag in the world, the hardware bag. I haven't looked in this yet, but I know that they're kind of separating them out a little bit, but they're not like individually sorted by type of screw and all that. I'm one of those weird people that enjoys sorting through this and trying to find the correct size. If you don't like it, sorry, it's a DIY kit. I'm sure at some point they'll have, you know, sorted bags and all that kind of stuff, but right now that costs a lot of money and that adds to prices and things like that. So you know, just deal with it, pretty much. That's all I can really say. That's just my opinion, at least. Mounting stuff, so this is a couple bearings, some rubber feet, lead screw nuts, things like that, all in one little tiny bag. This is just a bag of the stepper motors. There are 5 stepper motors in this bag versus the 6 that the old kit came with, which is pretty cool. So you're saving a little bit on stepper motors. Of course, that'll draw a little bit less power, which is good in the end. So this is part of the upgrade. Remember I said it was 24 volt now. So this is a 24 volt, 20 amp power supply, which is convenient. That means it's a 480 watt power supply. The old one was 360 watt. So if the bed was out of spec, you might be drawing 320 watts from the bed and then an additional 50 or 60 from everything else. You're overdrawing that power supply. And that was why there were some issues with power supplies at one point. In this case, you're probably not going to overdraw this power supply being 480 watts, especially with everything that's being used here anyway. So, and also being 24 volt, it lowers everything and all that kind of nonsense. So this is awesome. Of course, no thing would be complete without a power cable, just standard power cable. Some little sample filament, sample PLA. Of course, I have quite enough filament to be able to play with stuff. You have the lead screws and the chrome rods for the Z-axis at this point in this little kit. These are the slider rails. I've made a couple videos on things you need to do to these to make them work pretty well. I would check out those videos if you haven't already. Link will be somewhere. Just find it. It's on my channel. But yeah, these rails are pretty good, but you have to take care of them and clean them and oil them and stuff like that for them to be pretty good. So, of course, 2020 beams. That's all you really need. And the short 2020 beams in a separate bag. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to spend the next, I don't know, probably 10-15 hours building this thing. What I've heard from a lot of people is when you build your first FT-5, usually it takes about 20 hours or so average. That's how long it took me when I did mine. Of course, I had to do it with no instructions, so a little bit of a disadvantage, but I built a lot of kits, so it's not that bad. But from what I've heard, building your second one takes considerably less time. So I'm shooting for about 10-15 hours, maybe less depending on how it is. This should be considerably easier to do. So that'll be good. I'm not going to document too much of the building itself because, I don't really need to. It's pretty much the same as the FT-5R1 with the few changes that are being done. But once I get it up and done and, running and everything, I'll make some cool videos on the differences and how well they work and all that kind of stuff. So if you enjoyed this video, I please ask you to give me a thumbs up or subscribe or whatever. Give it a like, give me a share, something like that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video to some degree. So otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching this video and I hope you found it some sort of useful. And yeah, until the next FT-5 video, until whatever video I make, expect a couple weird videos coming up. I'm just going to say that. Until that next video, I'll see y'all later.